She's a pretty good gal. If you hold that for just a minute to turn your sound on. Want to do a quick sound check in here? Be sure. Sound check, check. Check, check.
We got Renee. We've got Renee, but we don't have your.
Okay.
It's working.
Yeah, it was.
That's the way technology works.
Isn't it?
Check, check.
Sound.
The mic up front, that's with that, Tim.
Should you turn the microphone off, maybe?
No, that shouldn't make a difference.
Turn the microphone off. There we go.
No, that shouldn't make a difference.
All right, let's get on and over unit. We'll go ahead and close that door for us. So welcome everybody to our Legacy for Life tour. Thank you so much for taking the time to come and learn about us today. You know, when most people hear the words, "you're pregnant," it's met with joy and excitement. But for some people, when they hear the words, "you're pregnant," it's met with overwhelming feelings of depression and anxiety. 7 years ago, there was a young woman that walked through the doors of a pregnancy center just like this. And she was a young woman that was a freshman in college, and she had high hopes of becoming a missionary someday. When she walked through the doors of that pregnancy center, she came and she was looking at all her options. She drove home to Cheyenne. She called her mom on the phone. And when she called her mom, she said, "Mom, where are you?" And her mom said, "I'm on my way home. I'll be there in just a minute." And when her mom hung up the phone, she was on the roundabout, there on the Vandehigh exit. And the mom said when she went around that roundabout, she said, "The Lord told her, your daughter's pregnant, and I'll give you the strength to stand up under it." The mom drove into her garage, went into the kitchen, and she saw her daughter sitting there with several pieces of paper in front of her, and she was crying. So she called her husband, the mom did, she called her mom, and she called her son. And together, the 5 of them sat around that kitchen table, and they said yes to God. A few days later, that young woman who was a freshman in college, the young man that she'd been dating for about a year, and that mother were back through the doors of that pregnancy center. And they were inside the ultrasound medical part of that department. And the nurse said, "You might see a heartbeat. It might be too soon, but if you do see it, you won't be able to hear it." The lights went dim. All the eyes went to the ultrasound screen, and then they saw it. There was a beeping sound that was inaudible. And it was almost as if the baby was saying, "I'm here. I'm here." Well, that mother was me, and that daughter was our daughter. And that little baby's whose heartbeat that we saw that day, 6 years ago, was Stella Grace. When our family said yes to God several years ago, we also want to give the other families in our communities and our sister communities an opportunity to say yes to God as well. So today you're going to get an opportunity to see what it's like in the life of a client, just like my family and I did 6 years ago. You're going to hear from a client advocate leader who's going to be sharing with you what happens when someone comes through the doors of the medical unit. And then you're going to hear from our nurse manager to tell you how we serve them with compassion and love. Okay, Missy.
Good morning. Thank you for coming today. And I just want to share with you a little bit about what I do at Life Choice. As she said, my name is Missy and I am the client advocate volunteer. And a client advocate on the mobile unit would be sitting in this position and welcoming our client that would come through the doors, like Renee described, somewhat anxious usually. When the client comes through the doors, the first thing that we do with them is we have them go into our little lavatory back here and give urine samples so that we can do a pregnancy test. While they finish the pregnancy test, I have them come out here and visit with the client, asking them a lot of questions just to determine what the needs of the client are. And sometimes those are vocalized, sometimes they're not. Sometimes those are needs that you have to listen for that aren't actually spoken. Sometimes a person is saying they think they can't carry to term a baby because they don't have the support of the father. They say that they wanted to finish their schooling, they have plans, this wasn't part of their plan. And so what our job is, and what our mission is to alleviate or eliminate the perceived need for abortion and empowering women and men to make a choice for Christ, like Renee was describing as they decided years ago with Zoe Grace. And so I listen for those needs, and by having access to community resources, we can meet those needs and help alleviate the fears that clients will have, saying that they can't go to school anymore, or they don't have funds, or their housing is going to be taken away from them, and we can help meet those needs and help them to make a better decision. So that's what I do as a client advocate. After they have determined that they will be carrying to term, we offer them Earn While You Learn classes, and that's what we do at the brick and mortar in Cheyenne. The Earn While You Learn classes are classes that deal with finances, raising children. We even do Bible studies, and it has to be determined by the Earn While You Learn instructor as well as the parent. They get to decide together what would be the most important things they want to learn. When they come to the classes and they participate, they have an opportunity to earn what's called baby bucks. Those baby bucks are then available to be used in our boutique, where we have new items that they get to purchase with their baby bucks at extremely reduced cost. All the items are donated. We have things like diapers and wipes that certain parents just come weekly so that they can earn their week's worth of diapers. We have clothing, we have strollers, and all sorts of things that parents can actually participate in earning for their children. When we have a positive pregnancy test, I'll get to this too. Also, this is a booklet that I would be going through with a client if she said to me that she was going to have an abortion, or if she said to me that she just wasn't sure and she wanted to explore her options. And this booklet goes through in detail the things that she would need to be considering. And so very oftentimes we'll go through these things with the client, and they'll get to a point where they've discovered that maybe abortion wasn't the thing that they could do after all, which is why we go through this. But very often they want to take this booklet with them, and we have many of these We have all these resources that are available to help them make the best decision for themselves, for life. In the instance that they have a positive pregnancy test, we also have these gift bags that are put together, also by donations that we give them. Just a few little things to help encourage them along. It also, if they are inclined to keep their child or to carry to term, we have a little card on here that if they bring that back to the brick and mortar, they'll get another gift basket when the baby is born. For those clients that are abortion minded, we just remove the tag so as not to coerce, which is one of the things that we try very hard not to do. We try to help people come to a good decision without pressuring or coercing in any way. And I just want to share with you a story that means a lot to me. Sometimes when clients come through and they are abortion minded, no matter if I was Jesus Christ himself sitting across from them, they might decide that they are still going to have an abortion, and I can't do anything about that. It makes us very sad when that happens. And so that happened one time with a young woman that was in a bad situation, and she did have an abortion, and I knew she had that. One day when I was coming home from a tour somewhat like this, we came back with the mobile unit to the brick and mortar building, and it was very busy, and I was called upon to meet with a client. And I knew that the client that I told you had the abortion was going to be coming in, and that wasn't the client that I was going to meet with, but I knew she was going to be in the building at that time. But I wasn't going to meet with her. I wasn't going to say anything to her. It wasn't my position to meet with her. Someone else was meeting with her. But she caught me in between rooms, and when she saw me, she was very excited because she was again pregnant. Only this time she was going to make a different decision. She had given up the drugs that had gotten a hold of her previously, and even though she wasn't planning on being pregnant, she was keeping that baby. And so sometimes they make a bad decision once, and then they come back to us because they get the encouragement and help that they need, and they know that Life Choice is a place of safety and refuge for them and help in making those hard decisions in life. So I consider it a real blessing to be a part of Life Choice, to be the client advocate volunteer. And I'd like to introduce you now to Judy, our nurse manager.
Hi, we're so glad you guys are here. And once Missy meets with our clients and the test is finished, it takes about 3 to 5 minutes, I will then meet with the client and let them know whether the test was positive or negative. Even though they may have done 30 pregnancy tests at home, when I tell them the test is positive, there can be a wave of shock that goes over their face because they weren't expecting that. Or even though they really knew it in their heart, now it was real. And so sometimes I just sit there and say, how are you feeling about that? What's going on? How can we support you? I'll then, once they kind of get a little bit used to the idea, I go through some medical questions just to see is there anything medically that could affect this pregnancy or affect them. Sometimes we get some really strange things. We had one the other day that she didn't think she could carry a baby because of her tailbone. So just sometimes allaying those fears or sending them in the right direction to the right medical personnel that's going to be able to help them to say, yes, you can do this. I will go through those medical questions, and then I'm trained to do unlimited obstetric ultrasound. Nurses never do ultrasounds. We're not trained for that. But we do have a program that we can go through, and what we learn is to see if the baby is in the uterus to make sure that they're not having an ectopic pregnancy, which would be a danger for them and the baby can't survive, to see how old that baby is so they can get a good gestational age, and then to see if that baby has a heartbeat. Like Renee's daughter, we can see that little blip on the screen, and then they can see there's a live baby in there. We've had women who were 20 weeks along and thought that there was just going to be a big blob of tissue in there. and were very surprised when they saw their little one rolling all over with arms and legs flailing. So we never know where that client is at and what they're thinking as we do that ultrasound. One woman came in and she said, we said, what are you thinking? She said, well, I really think I'm going to have an abortion. But my dad is very pro-life. And it's like, okay, so do you want an ultrasound? Yes, I do. So what's going to happen when we see that heart? She goes, oh, if we see a heartbeat, I can't have an abortion. We saw that heart beating, and she's pretty much ready to deliver now. We never coerce a woman. That's one thing we're very careful about. Whether it's in sharing, that before you decide, we ask our clients if they want us to go through that. And if any point during the time that we share that, they feel like, I can't handle this anymore, we stop. Our goal is to help them make an informed decision. We give them all the information that they need. The choice is theirs what they do with that information. So we will give prenatal vitamins if I feel like the woman is leaning toward keeping the baby. If I feel like she's really still very abortion minded, I'm not going to do that because I don't want her to feel like we're pushing her in one direction or another. We offer photographs of the babies. If they're not thinking they're going to keep the baby, we just don't even go there. I had one woman a few weeks ago that I asked her, would you like a picture? She was still feeling abortion, like she was going to have an abortion. She said, no, I didn't go anywhere more with that, except for I said, if you at some point would like a picture, we have it. She called me about 3 days later and said, I'd like a picture of my baby. And she's keeping her baby as well. So we never know. Some of those babies, as we see them on the screen, we don't know if they're going to have a full life or if their life will be ending soon. But we're there to care, to comfort, to give hope, to give encouragement, and just love on these women because maybe nobody else is going to do that but us. So as we finish up, we give all the resources we can to our clients, and then we send them on their way with always letting them know, if you need us, we're here. We're only a phone call away. So this is our medical unit. This is where we do everything. And now we're going to go inside, and Renee will share with you the vision that we have.
All right, so let's go on inside, guys.